Example 4 says that we have an order for dobutamine, IV, 1.2 microgram per kilogram per minute, and it comes available in 250 milligrams is in 500 milliliters of D5W, and our patient weighs 80 kilograms. So it's asking how many milliliters per hour will we set the pump for? Okay, so this is a weight-based drug, right? I mean, it's written microgram per kilogram per minute. Okay, so our patient weighs 80 kilograms. But for a patient who weighs 100 kilograms, they're going to get a different setting for milliliter per hour. Okay, so these are weight-based drugs. All right, question says, how many milliliter per hour? Okay, so there's your desired answer. They kind of gave it to you there. So milliliter on top means we need milliliter on top of our first fraction. And they did tell us in the available that 500 milliliters comes from 250 milligrams. Okay. Now that puts milligrams at the bottom, so we need milligrams at the top of the next fraction. And typically we get that from our order, but the order is written for micrograms instead of milligrams. So we need to do a conversion. Remember that 1 milligram is 1,000 micrograms. Okay, and be sure and put the milligram on top because we want those to be able to cancel. Now, that puts micrograms at the bottom, which means we need micrograms at the top of this next fraction, and that's what our order is written for, right? So in our order, we see that 1.2 micrograms happens per kilogram per minute. Okay, so both kilogram and minute go to the bottom of that fraction there. All right, well, we've used up the order, we've used up the available. We still need to talk about the weight, so that would get rid of the kilogram here, right? So kilogram at the bottom means we need kilogram at the top. And they did tell us that the weight is 80 kilograms. Pair that with a 1. They didn't really tell us anything else in that sentence. You don't pair weight with anything else, so it just goes with a 1. But we're out of information now, but I don't think we're quite finished. Let's go back and look. Desired answer is milliliter per hour. And I have milliliter. The milligrams cancel, the micrograms cancel, kilograms cancel, but that's going to leave me with minute in the bottom, and I need hour in the bottom. So we do need an extra conversion here that takes 60 minutes to 1 hour so that we can get rid of minutes and get hour in the bottom. Okay, so double check all those conversions again, the cancellations. Milligrams cancel, micrograms cancel, kilograms, minutes, it all cancels. We have milliliter on top, hour on bottom, so we should be good to go. You can multiply everything on the top, multiply everything on the bottom. These are going to give some big O numbers, okay, and that's all right. You do have a calculator that will help you divide that stuff, so go ahead, let it get big. That's okay. Should work out to be 12 milliliters per hour. Now, I wanted to talk to you about these red words I put up here. I put those up there just to kind of help you see where I'm pulling these numbers from, okay? I think it's helpful to have in your notes, but by no means do I expect you to write those on the quizzes and tests, okay? It's just strictly for note purposes. I don't want you to depend on, that the first fraction is always going to come from available and then the second fraction is always going to be a conversion. It just kind of depends on the flow of the problem, okay? If our available and our order are written in the same units, we wouldn't need that conversion in there, okay? Sometimes we don't need that conversion there at the end. If it's not weight-based, then we wouldn't need to throw the weight part in there, but it just kind of depends on the problem. But typically, you will always be dealing with the label or what's available to you and the order, okay? The rest of this just kind of comes and goes depending on the problem, but don't get dependent on those red words. Just use those to help decide where the pieces are coming from. I need you to get into the habit of, if this is in the bottom of the fraction, that means the next fraction needs to have that at the top, okay? That needs to be your guiding factor. Whatever's in the bottom of this fraction needs to go in the top of the next fraction. And you got to go hunt it down up here in the prompt that they gave you, or maybe you need a conversion to pull in to make it happen, okay? So let that be your guiding factor as opposed to these red words at the top of the problems.